first argument is the argument from motion to mover. So I'm going to use this symbol here. In formal logic, it's if-then. But I'm also using it as from to, which will work just as well in this case. The first argument is from motion to mover. And this is actually a very interesting reflection, especially in light of the new physics, which we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about the old physics either. I don't really want to talk about the physics of Aristotle because that'll confuse everyone. I'll just talk about modern Newtonian physics here because most people have been at least exposed to it. In modern Newtonian physics, there are two causes, formal cause and material cause. Formal cause is a structural cause of something. If you want to say something exists, why does it exist? Why does a chair exist? It exists because it has a certain shape, has a certain structure. You can make a diagram of it, and people can know what it is and be able to copy it off from your diagram or your sketch or your blueprint. Also, it has a physical structure. It's made out of metal, aluminum in this case. So that has a certain tactile strengths, etc., and so forth. It makes that particular kind of a chair as opposed to a wooden chair or plastic chair. So there's formal material causes. And as we imagine in Newtonian and post-Newtonian physics, that every single material thing is made up of smaller and smaller material things, and maybe even with post-Newtonian physics, non-material things, energy fields, sub-quarks, and these kinds of things. But all the things in motion in Newtonian physics really doesn't have a mover of any type. All things are physical. All physical things are subject to material laws, physical laws. These physical laws are not subject to change. They may be subject to revision or tweaking with regard to how we understand them. But they're not subject to change by way of our wishing it or anything else. These things are static laws and universal laws. And depending on how much this notion of the two causes and the static laws and the universal laws, depending on how far-reaching they want to be in the thought of not necessarily scientists, but people who think as physical and chemical scientists do since the Newtonian Revolution. Even human beings are commonsensical and even philosophical actions in which we begin an action because of our motivations are still ultimately subject to these material laws, such that what apparently is occurring that we decide based on our judgment or lack of judgment, what is really occurring is there's a whole series of prior causes, all of which started at the Big Bang or sometime before that, and we inevitably come to our conclusions. And if you're absolutely inevitably come to conclusions, there are no judgments. We make judgments based on reasons we think. We weigh the options, look at the evidence, and we say, this is better than that. I'm going with this. But if this kind of tyrannical understanding of physical laws is applied even to human action, we run into lots of trouble. But in Thomas's time, we didn't have this kind of tyrannical, mechanical, physical understanding of laws. We had understanding that there were bodies, even celestial bodies, and these celestial bodies had properties, just like we have properties, and they have beginning and ends, and they also have reasons. There's a reason why the sun exists. There's a reason why the moon exists. It wasn't a series of cosmic accidents such that we arrive at this place. In Thomas's mind, there are motion, and then there are things and other things and people that move them. But the argument goes from these existence of these motions that we see every day to the fact that the series of motions or the things moving them can't be infinite. So at a certain point you have a primary mover, which moves other things but itself is not moved. Why is not? It's the argument of the unmoved mover. You'll see it on your sheet in a different form. But why is the mover unmoved? Because if the mover itself were moved, even by its own action, it would then be subject to something other than itself. Then you have to keep going. The regress never stops. So you have an unmoved mover here at the beginning. Actually, unfortunately, I wanted to do an experiment, but I'll do it now. Everyone stand up. All right, everyone hold hands like you're doing our Father at church. Well, some churches. I don't want to offend anyone. Okay, sit down.
Holding hands?
Okay, so what just happened here? Did you guys move?
Yes.
And who moved you?
You did.
All right. Did I myself move in the way that you did?
No.
So see, I'm God now. I'm the mover. You guys are the mover. That's a little joke. I wanted to do that before rather than after, but I forgot. But it gives you an idea, and also that exact example also gives you an idea. You remember in the Genesis, that's how God does things, right? God says, "Oh, there's all this chaos everywhere. Light and dark is mixed together. Water and mud's mixed together. Clouds mixed together. Everything's a big mess." Then God separated the day from the night, and the light from the darkness, and the water from the earth. And why? How did He do it? By His Word. So you see here that not by the way we look at physics. Physics says one thing has to run into another in order to get it to move. God says, do it, and it's done. Also, our communication allows us to communicate, understand one another, make choices, all of which doesn't work in this land of pure physics. Right? When I tell you to do something, you don't have to do it. Right. You can choose not to do it. There's agency going on here. In the land of pure physics, there's no agency. Everything falls. Nothing rises. See, everything's subject to the laws. But that's not the way Aquinas looked here at motions and movers.